I want to first begin with Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, before I bring in some of the more politically inclined. Dr. Ranganathan, what is going on? The left Lutyens coming out here and saying that a fairly decent guy like you is some sort of a Hindutva, madcap.
No, good evening, Rahul. Look, the problem, Rahul, is that the Taliban are intent on implementing the holy verses and commandments that these moderates were happily preaching all along. As simple as that. That is the problem. Please understand the psychology at play here, Rahul. I do. And I even commiserate. What the Taliban are doing is embarrassing the moderates and then useful idiot chumps the leftists. Hence this dire need to bring in false equivalences with Hinduism, Hindutva, or label the Taliban as radical. But there is nothing radical in it. Because there is nothing called radicalization or radical Islam. If a Muslim reads, imbibes, memorizes, practices, preaches, extols a book that explicitly defines who is a believer or a non-believer, 33, 36, 31, 32, 82, 49, 50, and has more than half of its verses asking for the destruction and annihilation of non-believers, polytheists, Jews, Christians, saying they are the worst of creatures, 98.6. Never to be married with 221. They should be condemned to eternal loathing in hell, 456. That no other deity has the right to be worshipped except Allah, 4062. Does he become a radical Muslim? Kaise bhai? Are 1.8 billion Muslims radical? Because all of them, by the very definition of being Muslim, have to believe that these commandments by Allah are true and inviolable. That is why I say, Rahul, Islamophobia is the rational fear amongst Muslims to discuss Islam in its entirety, which is the axiom, snare the fundamentalists but spare the fundamentals. It is the so-called moderate Muslims who are Islamophobic. That is, they fear Islam. They fear to bring out the commandments of the holy book in their entirety on Jews, Christians, polytheists, Hindus, homosexuality, apostasy, heresy, dress code, wife beating, blasphemy. ये तालिबान में करिए अमेंडमेंट्स क्या? नहीं, ये होली बुक में है. And that is what they fear. They fear being called illiberal and hypocrites. So they end up condemning and branding as radicals the Muslims who are faithfully following the fundamentals. वो सोच रहे होंगे अरे यार एक किताब है, हम फॉलो कर रहे हैं, हमें गालियां पड़ रही हैं. Rahul, please 30 seconds. Now normally, if you love a book, extol it, recommend it, and someone else reads it and quotes from it, you'll be pleased no end, right? So why is it that when I quote all these verses from a book that the Muslims love, extol and recommend, why is it that I turn into a bigot and Islamophobe? All I'm doing is quoting the words of Allah and popularizing them. Why are the Muslims embarrassed by these verses and words? Tell me. Why do they hate me for it? They should be delighted that I'm quoting what they have read and imbibed in childhood, that policies are the worst of creatures and kafirs will roast in hell. I don't get it. Or maybe I do. You don't want these verses to be known. You want the Ganga Jamni facade to continue, to keep resting your head on Al-Taqiyya and singing lullabies to non-believers. Kuch samjhe daya?
Okay.
Rahul, I hope you have muted my good comrade Vivek, because it has almost become my holy duty to manage him. I have known of him for years and I still cannot make out if he's the loincloth or the slam. Every day he comes and every day he gets trashed. Now, just very quickly, 2 points. Here he is standing up for Muslim rights. So I want to ask him. He has previously, being a communist, fought for the rights, stood with solidarity with Palestinians and Syrians, hasn't he? I want him to condemn China for interning 1.5 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps and feeding them pork. Condemn him. Number 2.
There's nothing.
Let me quote. Now, one second. Rahul.
Nothing wrong with that, he says.
Nothing wrong with that. He says nothing wrong with that. Okay. Now, Rahul, please let me finish. Yeah, Vivek, please don't interrupt. Rahul, please don't interrupt. Please, sorry, Vivek, please don't interrupt. I'm sorry, I'm getting my communists confused. No. Now, look. Now, he's saying Anand is attributing Taliban to the holy verses. Now, I asked him, and he said such verses exist in all. Well, as an atheist, I condemn any misogynistic, patriarchal, or vicious, violent verse that happens in any scriptures of Hinduism. I do it openly. I want Vivek to say, does he condemn verse 434 that the Taliban are pursuing And I quote it. Men are in charge of women by right of what Allah has given one over the other and what they spend for maintenance from their wealth. So righteous women are devoutly obedient, guarding in their husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. But those wives from whom you fear arrogance, first advise them. Then if they persist, forsake them in bed. And finally, strike them. Does he have the temerity and the guts and the gumption to say that I condemn the words of Allah? Himmat hai to bolo.
Whether they are the words of Allah or the words of Ram, I don't believe in any religion whatsoever.
There we go. Saab सामने आ जाता है. This is what I love about. This is what I love about the communists. It is so easy to expose their hypocrisy.
1 second.
He is gonna burn Manusmriti. He will burn Manusmriti. He will burn Upanishad.
1 second.
He will burn Rigved. But you ask him to condemn one word of Allah and he will say नहीं out of context है. अरे मुझे माफ कर दो, मुझसे गलती हो गई. अरे मनुस्मृति जला दो. अरे उपनिषद जला दो. अरे that's why I love you.
Okay.
If you allow a person on your channel to denigrate Islam and Quran and attach it with the Talibani, thought and their doings, that is Islamophobe.
Who are you referring to?
Dr. Ranganathan.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Now
A
listen.
person denigrated Islam and Quran. He quoted
Now
the
listen,
verses of a
Atikur
holy
Rahman,
book.
I've
And that
been
holy
tolerating
book,
you.
he is referring to Quran.
Okay. Respond, Dr.
I can't
Ranganathan.
read out the verses of the holy book according to you. I can't, being a kafir. Is that how much you hate a kafir?
You're misquoting.
You mean I can't? What do you
are
mean
putting out
misquoting?
of context.
You tell me the correct
It
quote.
is
then.
habitual on
Tell
you.
me.
You do
You
not
tell
have any
me.
knowledge of Islam.
Stop lying. Stop lying.
Yes,
You tell me what.
you arrange a debate. Rahul,
Rahul,
you arrange a
Rahul,
debate.
these are the
and
people.
I will
These
be,
are the
I
people
will be
who are wolf
proving
misled.
that this person
Rahul.
is an Islamophobe. He misquotes the Quran.
Rahul.
He mentions the Quran out of context.
Be quiet.
He does
Be
not
quiet.
have any standing of the understanding of the Quran. The gist
Rahul,
of
mute
it,
him out.
the philosophy
So
of
one
the
second,
Quran,
one second.
the philosophy
Mr.
of Allah or the Prophet of Islam.
Mr. Atikur Rahman,
He is
what
an
part?
Islamophobe.
What part has he misquoted? Can you clarify?
Hey, tell me whatever. you
Clarify,
quoted.
sir.
Yes.
Why should you
Yes,
analyze
I
Quran
will.
in the first place?
I
Who are you
will.
to
Yes.
analyze?
Always he quotes that Allah says, do not sympathize with the non-believers. The non-believers he is mentioning is the not non-believers of the Hindus of India. The non-believers of the pagan Arabia are the non-believers. The Quran mentions the non-believers
Rahul.
in the context of time and age.
Okay.
The Hindus of
I
India
must
are
come
not
in now.
non-believers, they are
Okay.
I
believers.
must
Respond.
rebut.
Respond. He's saying that you're misquoting. You're misquoting. Go ahead.
Rahul, 2 points very briefly. Atikur Rahman is wolf whistling. He would rather have me dead. As that's the only thing that a kafir should do for Atikur Rahman. 2 points here. Number one, does he mean to say that all those Quranic verses that talk about Jews, that talk about Christians, that talk about policies, are of those 1,000-odd Jews policies in that era, that 1.8 billion Muslims don't take them out as for meaning for all Jews and policies? And number two, I quoted the Quranic verse, now please don't interrupt. I quoted the Quranic verse 434. Atikur Rahman, if you are a true Muslim, I challenge you to tell me how did I misquote it. अगर दम है, अपने आप को मौलाना कहते हो, स्कॉलर ऑफ इस्लाम कहते हो, तो बताओ मेरी क्या गलती है 434 जो मैंने कोट किया. I have never said that Allah is wrong or I condemn the verse. Never. I quote the verse. How is quoting the verse denigrating Islam? Don't wolf whistle. समझ रहे आ गई आपको बात? I know you hate kafir. I know you practice al-taqiyya. But you tell
You
me,
go home.
I denigrated Quran by quoting 434. अगर हिम्मत
Mr.
है,
Rahman,
तो
Can you
quote करो
can you
434.
show where he has misquoted, please?
Quote 434. Tell me where I have misquoted. बोलो.
Yeah. 434.
बोलो.
434 should be
Bolo.
read in the context,
Should be
and
read
I
in
will
the
give him
context.
some advice. Go and read. Now I am not.
Rahul,
I
we
am
have
not.
had-
I never
we have
interrupted
had this
you.
context.
Look
Okay,
at this Islamophobe.
viewers, 1 minute.
Look at this Islamophobe.
1 second, one
He's
second.
full of
No, listen,
obsession with
gentlemen,
Islam.
1 second.
The
1
Quran
second,
is
1 second. I just want to ask you, 1 second, very quick point. And I don't have much time. You can please take this debate to another forum. No problems. I have no problems, but I need to step in here. 1 minute. Mr. Atikur Rahman, how exactly? Now, misquoting means mixing up certain words, removing certain words. We're not talking about the context here. That is interpretation. You are talking about quotation. Has he misquoted any of the words 434? I'm not talking about interpretation. I'm just talking about the quote as it is in the Holy Book. That's all.
Tell me, Atikur Rahman, Allah ke bande ho to sach
101% he reads the Orientalist interpretation of the Quran.
Okay.
Read Abdullah Yusuf Ali if you have the guts.
You tell
I
me
challenge
the
you. I challenge you. You read the words, the same words of Abdullah
Stop
Yusuf Ali.
shouting.
If
Stop
you have the
shouting,
guts,
Atikur
Anyhow,
come on,
gentlemen,
Rahul Shah, show
there is a
and
disagreement
not
amongst
Abdullah
two
Yusuf Ali.
panelists on the
I
exact
challenge you.
quote
I
of the
challenge
Quran. I am not here as 1 minute. I am not an authority on the Holy Book.